Big piece of news today with Brian signing the extension and also Jackson being named a finalist for MLS Defender of the Year. You have your thoughts on both of those?
Yeah, I think obviously throughout the years we've been very successful with Schmetzer at the helm, and I've said this. I think I have context in that I've played with Toronto for 5 years and never made the playoffs, and so I think we've had a high standard, and sometimes people forget that, and it doesn't make it easy. Actually, I think it makes it harder. For him to be at the helm of all these successful years, and again, then every year comes with hardship. Every year is difficult. You have to find the team and work through difficult spells, and somehow we've been able to do it under stewardship every year, or for most years actually. And I should say not every year. And so deserve it. And for Jackson, really happy that someone young, and maybe sometimes with these awards I feel like guys might have to earn their stripes first before they get recognition, but if a guy does well in his sophomore year as a starter, I think he deserves all the credit. And I'm hoping people see it's a Defender of the Year award, but in the modern game, defenders are the first or the second attacker after the goalkeeper, and they're pivotal, they're vital, and pivotal. He's our pivot in the back, and he takes a lot of responsibility on his young shoulders, and when it comes to how we start our possession and our attacks, and he does exceptionally well. And so I hope people saw that, and that's why I think he deserves the shut up.
How have you seen Schmetz evolve as a coach through the years?
I think it's more like I said with players, you have to treat every season as an individual season almost, right? Because you have systems, and I think for coaches and ways you want to play, but you might have a new player join that plays a little bit of different, or you have some guys that get injured, or some guys that are hot and some guys that are not hot, and you have to adjust. You have to figure out what makes the team of that year work. For us this year, maybe we were searching for that answer earlier on in the year, but it's a matter of, can you keep the spirits high within the squad? Can you keep everybody professional and showing up every day, believing that when you do find the solutions that the quality is there? And so I think it's an evolution, more about evolution for him in terms of approaching every year with the utmost respect, and not thinking just because of past successes you can now rest on your laurels. That's how I think the senior guys who have been under him for a while approach every season as well. It's not that, hey, we won this or we won that, or we've done well here and there, and that's now a given for this new year. You have to earn everything every year. So.
Have you noticed? What do you think his best strength is as a coach? I know there's tactical coaches, there's player coaches, there's all kinds of mixes of that kind of stuff. But when you look at him and you say, this is why I think he's managed to stick around for 9 seasons and beyond, what do you see?
Why has he stuck around for 9+ seasons is result, right? Ultimately that's what it comes down to. But what has made teams be able to figure it out is I think it gives the players ownership of the team. He tells them that they're stewards, and they're here to guide us and help us. But ultimately, we're the ones in the trenches on the weekend and throughout the week here as well. So if you have a sense of ownership, then you start building a sense of responsibility. And I think players have always been committed to each other and to what we want to achieve throughout the years. And I think that I love how in English, in European football, at least you call the gaffer a manager. And I think that's what the modern game is turning into anyways. It's a people's manager. It's a psychologist. I think if you see more and more trainings are run by assistant coaches. So the guy up top is really the one that tries to make sure all the pieces are massaged well, and they're feeling it, and they're being put in the right time, in the right spot, so that they can operate at their highest level. I think that giving that sense of ownership to players has always made them invested, and for the most part I think has gotten responses out of players and wanting to grow and wanting to compete for things.
Have you noticed any changes, any growth from the coach that was an interim head coach and is now been coaching as long as he has?
Like I answered on the other question, is that I think it's the game evolves, and as players and as coaches, I think you evolve with it, or you probably die off. So he's been able to do that in terms of how the game has changed. You look back at probably even his start as a head coach here, but definitely me as a professional player 16 years ago. Outside backs weren't doing anything offensively, and nowadays they're bombing up and down the line, an integral part of every offense. So as a coach, if you're stuck, just like a player, if you're stuck in those old ways, then you're not going to make it. So I think he's evolved in that aspect. But again, I think the bigger picture for me is that every year is treated as an individual year with the utmost respect to try to achieve with that unit what we can achieve. Assess what are we good at, what are our goals, what do we want to try and achieve, and how can we go about it. Looking at past lessons learned, but not thinking that you can omit certain steps that got you that success in the past.
Is the timing of the announcement odd right before a big playoff game? Is it a positive? Is it a negative? Is it a distraction? Is it not? What do you think about the timing of the announcement?
I don't look into it. It probably gives him peace of mind because I mean, for us, it's playoffs. It's part of this. Again, it's part of this year, the playoffs, right? And so we try to not look past what's going on here. We have an opportunity to achieve something. I think we're playing good football, as you need to be able to get past good teams at this stage. So the timing doesn't. I don't know. That'd be a great question to ask the front office what their thought behind it was. I'd love to hear the answer.
You talked about him as far as being the manager and whatnot. Do you get to see any of his fun side or anything like that? Have a glass of wine with him or anything through the years?
No, not a glass of wine, but he's pretty strict. But when we have a good result on the road, he occasionally allows us to have a bevy on the plane when we go home. I think he's loosened up a little bit with those things. I remember with Gustav, we used to have a tradition when every home game we would win. It wasn't even about drinking. I don't drink much, but it's about a cheers. You know, I think we had this much beer each, and at first he wasn't too stoked about it, but I think he's loosened up and he's realized that I think sometimes those things are important. That people enjoy winning, people enjoy each other's hard work for each other, and when that leads to fruits of that hard labor, that you enjoy that moment for a second. We've always had a strong locker room, I think, but those little things can go a long way. We're going to dinner as a team tonight, which is one of those things too, where I think it just shows that there's cliques in every locker room, and it's good because you have people that come as young kids from completely different cultures. They need something to grasp onto, but there cannot be borders. And I think whether it's through him or through our senior players, we've never had boundaries that cannot be pushed through. We've always had a group that, yes, there's cliques, but ultimately it's one group that comes together, and everybody respects each other. And so that's been great.
Is it team dinner tonight?
Team dinner,
Yeah.
yeah. Players. I'm not telling you where.
No, I don't want to know. I was trying to figure out if Schmetz is going to be, or the coaching staff is going to be a part of it. You're just saying it's
No, but I mean, obviously everybody kind of checks,
Yeah.
has to give their blessings to things like these.
I got it.
Do you think he gets the appropriate amount of respect from people outside the organization? Brian, that is.
No, honestly, it comes back to, I think we've had a high standard throughout the years, and it's almost people is like, oh, it's the Sounders, expected. Again, I've had the pleasure of playing for 5 years in Toronto, and I mean, I made the playoffs. I scheduled my wedding in November, in late July, because I knew we weren't going to make the playoffs. And so there's this I don't know how to describe it, but a sense of you just know you kind of expect that the Sounders will do okay. Or we'll make the playoffs, or we'll make a push for a trophy, or we'll find ourselves in a situation. But again, that is all earned. Every inch on the field, and especially in this league, where there's parity, every game, home game, away game, you have to earn your points. You have to earn you win every battle, win every duel, and so I think that gets lost sometimes. with players as well. I think it's just they're doing well again. We expect that. Yeah, it doesn't make it any easier. Everybody's got the same playing field. We're not playing with steroids here, and everybody else is not. Everybody's got the same playing field, and yeah, we're striving to have a high standard and play for trophies, because ultimately I think that's what I hope every professional athlete is doing, and every coach. But sometimes I think it does get lost in it.
That's this Houston team coming down on Monday. Obviously a little different from when you saw them a few weeks ago, but what were your impressions of the Dynamo?
Yeah, I said this, I think, after the Portland game, when I was asked about our next opponent, and maybe it came off the wrong way when I was saying that I think Houston has an identity now. I mean that with the utmost respect. I think there's teams that at times try things but they're not fully committed, or it doesn't work out, and they try something else, or a new gaffer comes in because there's change that is needed up top, and now they try something else. But I think Houston, I never could put my finger on what their identity was, but as of the last few years, you can clearly sense what their identity is. They're definitely a possession-based team. They have good players that are capable of doing it. They feel comfortable in tight spaces. They can suck you into their own corner here and find a way out of it. And if you overcommit, they'll punish you. So that's it's a testament to, I think, their evolution. And you need to have an identity as a team, I think. And starts with a good coach that gives you direction. And then players that buy in and they're willing to put in the work and follow those instructions. So that's what I'm seeing, and coupled with good quality. Again, I think last time I highlighted Carrasquina and Carrasquina, yeah, and obviously Herrera in the middle, Bassi. They have outside backs who bomb forward. So we know what they're capable of. They have good players, and it's going to be a tough matchup.